Hey everybody, welcome back to Integrative Psychonautics. I hope you're doing well out there. In today's video, we're going to be talking about a little quick exploration of what it is that motivates you and why that's important to understand in terms of your healing path, your growth path, your personal development goals, and obviously in the context of psychedelic work, since that's kind of the main theme of the channel here. This is something you probably want to know, something you want to increase your self-awareness around. So if that sounds interesting to you, please watch on and let's talk about it. All right, welcome back. Good to be back with you guys. So just a couple things really quick, and then we'll get into it here. So the temperature here in the Southwest has been consistently north of 100 and often around 110 degrees where I live for the last 3 to 4 weeks. And thankfully that's just starting to drop down. But right now it's kind of the tail end of the heat here. So you may notice that my window's open, my curtains are moving around a little bit. I've got the fan on. It kind of feels honestly like a hairdryer blowing on me, but I have air going. So you might hear that in the background a little bit. And overall, I'm doing well, but I'm a little kind of chilled out from the heat. So we're going to keep it casual today. And we're going to just kind of talk about this topic of motivation from a bit more of a relaxed place. So I intend for this video to be kind of shorter and something that's a bit more to the point and just giving you one interesting piece of information to think about, contemplate, kind of explore for yourself. And I think this is an important one. So there are a lot of different kind of genres of videos, different sets of topics that I want to talk about here on the channel, mostly just because I have a lot to communicate, a lot to share that I think will be of value to you. And kind of one stream of thought of things that to me might seem a little bit obvious, but I think are also worth saying is kind of things that support you guys around deepening and honing self-awareness. Now, self-awareness is one of these topics where, implying that someone doesn't have self-awareness can be a little bit insulting, and that's not really where I'm coming from here. So please don't take offense to the suggestion that you're not self-aware already. But I do think, human beings are incredibly deep, complex, nuanced, multi-layered beings. And I think that probably the exploration of self-awareness is kind of an endless thing. So kind of along the lines of that thought, I want to discuss this idea of motivation and what motivates you, because this is one of these things that I think a lot of people, it's kind of a common pattern I see when people come in and want to work with me or get on like a free call with me. And we're talking about their issues and we're talking about how they experience the problem and kind of what's going on in their life. There's a repetitive theme that I see that I want to articulate here to you. And that theme essentially is that a lot of people kind of mistakenly or intuitively feel like or think that the way to get the results that they want in themselves, right? Whether it's to, heal some piece of trauma from the past, or whether it's about, leveling up and becoming a better version of yourself, or achieving goals, or, motivating yourself to do that new thing that you think might really be fulfilling in your life, or what have you. These things that we often tend to feel bad about if we're kind of underperforming on or don't have. A lot of people feel like the way to get there is to be hard on ourselves, right? So it's the classic thing you see, and this is it's kind of a cliche, honestly, in coaching and therapy, that almost every person that comes to you is going to have some flavor of shame, is one way to describe it. I prefer the term self-judgment, self-criticism. I think those are equally valid ways of framing it. But you see this all the time as a coach. And so generally speaking, people come in and the kind of unconscious belief that they have about this self-judgment or shame, or kind of trying to force ourselves and shame ourselves and be, hard on ourselves about not being the way that we would like to be. The kind of implicit belief there is that if I'm hard on myself and I put enough pressure on myself, it will motivate me to do better, be better, heal, transform, grow, be a better person, this kind of a thing, right? And to be fair, there is no end to the ocean of kind of success porn style personal development information out there that kind of feeds into this way of thinking. And I think this, often ties into kind of the problems of young people. I would say from your late teens to your mid 30s, there's kind of a phase of life there of really wanting to get ourselves set up and established and functioning properly and plugged into the kind of life that we want to have and enter into the kind of roles that we want to embody and be a member of, as a part of society and part of our community. And so there's all this pressure that we already feel just in the phase of life that we're in to try to kind of organize ourselves, in a particular way, so that we can have the life we think we want to have. Although all of that, if we're going to be honest, is based on a theory. It's based on a guess, on an assumption. Oh, when I have this career, I'll be happy. When I have that money, when that level of income, I'll be happy. When I have that house, I'll be happier. When I date X kind of person, I'll be happy, et cetera, right? I mean, that's a whole other discussion. Anyways, I'm diverging a little bit here, but the point I want to make is that we have these goals, we have these desires, we have these kind of anxieties of wanting to rise to the occasion and really launch ourselves, and then what we use to motivate ourselves to do that most of the time is judgment and shame and being hard on ourselves. And what I notice more often than not when people come to me, and this is part of the kind of cluster of thoughts and beliefs and things, the knot, as we sometimes call it, that is the problem that they're trying to unravel and untangle. A lot of times, what I notice off the bat is that this strategy of self-judgment and, shaming as a motivator doesn't work really for the vast majority of people who are running this pattern with themselves. And so I want to kind of speak to motivation a little bit here and just encourage you to start to really get self-aware. Does this style and the thing you're doing to try to get yourself to take action, does it actually work? Is it actually causing you to actually take action? Or is it actually causing you to kind of shut down and freeze and have a shame attack and feel more overwhelmed and feel less motivated, which is what I notice happens more often. I will say that I think, well, I'll explain this in a moment. I'll kind of lay out a bit of an understanding around this, but I think there is a smaller percentage of people who are motivated by, let's call it, negative reinforcement, who, when they're shamed, when they're challenged, when they're provoked, it does bring out a sense of motivation. But I think that's a very small percentage of people, way smaller than we assume to be true. I think the vast majority of people, at least the vast majority of people I see and encounter, this approach ends up causing them to just feel more stuck in the mud, more overwhelmed and terrified and disconnected. And it just becomes a self-reinforcing loop of feeling worse and worse about ourselves, right? So that's not really going to work. And so we need to become self-aware of what way we are trying to motivate ourselves and if that's actually working. And I would even take that a step further and say, even for the people for whom kind of negative self-talk and self-judgment actually is a motivating force, what's the longer term, bigger picture impact on how you view yourself, on how you feel about yourself, on your self-relationship, on your level of peace of mind and well-being in your nervous system that creates if you're constantly using some sort of harsh, negative, judgmental, shame-based way of getting yourself to perform or achieve. What is the cost to your sense of well-being in the big picture by using that strategy, right? I'll just kind of add this, and I was kind of meaning to put this at the front of the video, but I got on a tangent. Here we are. Point has been made, but I thought I'd just share a little bit about what I learned about motivation in my trainings in NLP. So if you study NLP and you go to NLP training, they will inevitably teach you about the two motivational directions, which I don't think is strictly an NLP thing, but it's certainly incorporated into that body of knowledge. And the two motivational directions, quite simply, are, you could think of it as the carrot and the stick, right? We've got away from pain and towards pleasure, right? And these are the two things that really motivate us to move. And even more deeply, if we want to like be less superficial about it, less behaviorist about it, and perhaps a little more humanistic about it, what motivates us to take action is feeling a strong, powerful connection to our value system, to the things we really deeply care about, that we deeply are passionate about. And usually those things will create an automatic sense of motivation when we are really connected to them. The implication there that we sometimes are stuck for motivation, there are a lot of reasons why this could be. But, just in terms of values, one of the reasons that might be on a value system is maybe there's something you deeply value, but your sense of connection to it, you feel disconnected from it. Perhaps there's a wound there about your relationship to the things you value. And so this thing that could be motivating or should be motivating is actually a source of pain or frustration or kind of a freeze response, right? Another way that this can go is there can be a part of you, we have different parts of our personality, and there can be a part of you that really values something and feels passionate and motivated and driven to take action around it. There might be another part of you that has a contrasting value system or contrasting need, and there's a clash of values going on. That's also very common. So there can be a lot of things and reasons why we are demotivated. We can also, for example, have, early childhood trauma around, getting our needs met or pursuing goals, or we can have kind of like this deep, what you could think of as like a somatic body-based memory that has no content, no memory or pictures or intellectual understanding, but just this emotional wave that hits you every time you try to go do something because there's perhaps an unprocessed piece from earlier in your life that is literally a body memory that's just feelings and sensations. These are all things that can put us in that kind of frozen, not taking action kind of thing. So I'm diverging here. Hopefully this is useful. In NLP, we have toward and away, right? And a lot of people tend to assume that the motivation style that works for them is away from pain. That I need to do things because I'm going to be broke. I'm going to be lonely. I'm going to be bored. I'm going to be older and still not have my life together. These kinds of things that tend to cause, fear, and fear can be a powerful motivator. But again, I think I think this is the way probably a lot of our parents raise us and try to teach us to be motivated, is by using negative motivation, fear, stress, and not realizing that can create a freeze response in the nervous system. And then we kind of internalize that, oh, this is how you motivate yourself. You use negative thinking, you use fear, you use pessimism. And then what ends up happening is we try to use that in our lives, and then we freeze. And we don't perform and we don't move forward. And then years go by because we're not self-aware that we're using the wrong motivational strategy for what feels good and what works right for our nervous system. For me, this was a game changer to really become self-aware of and realize that the more I shame myself, the more I judge myself, the more pressure I put on myself, the more my nervous system, whether I liked it or not, would dig in its heels and stop everything, and my life would come to a crashing halt. And this was true whether it was someone else putting that pressure on me or me putting that pressure on myself. And that, what motivates me, and I find this over and over with my clients, once we create a positive loop of encouragement and, excitement and, positivity and optimism and curiosity and open-mindedness and a lot of self-acceptance in that process, and we soften all the stress around whatever the topic of growth is, my clients find themselves growing and changing and transforming and healing because it feels safe to do so. So I want to just kind of plant the seed in your attention and encourage you to think about it. What's your motivational style and how is that working out for you? And I think this is an important thing to know about yourself, just as a piece of self-awareness. So that as you're working your healing path, your growth path, you know what's actually going to start to, create the conditions for change for you and what isn't. So that's kind of my message for today. I realize I'm rambling a little bit here, but hopefully this makes sense. Please do leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think about this. Let me know if this resonates for you. Let me know if this is useful. I do have more kind of videos I'll be making about this topic of different aspects of self-awareness. And so if you like this kind of thing, let me know and I'll do more of it. And of course, as always, please do the thumbs up, like, subscribe, share the videos with others if you like them. And if you want to work with me, you want some support around, overcoming some stuckness in your life, do feel free to reach out to me. It's something I've dealt with myself. It's something I'm pretty deeply familiar with, and I can certainly help you with that. My email is down below. Get in touch. I'm always happy to do a free 1-hour phone call. We can talk and get to know each other. And if you want to work with me, the invitation may be extended if we feel like it's a mutually like a good fit. And if not, then I'll help you figure out what the next steps for you are either way. So, okay, enough for now. Much love to you all. Thank you for watching. Hope you're doing well out there. And I'll see you guys in the very near future.